Hi guys, it's Aoife from Words of Clover and I'm here to do the mid-year freakout book tag. So this tag was created by Chammy and Ellie. Chammy doesn't do booktube anymore, but Ellie still does. She is Earl Grey Books. I will leave her link down below. She is just a really lovely, cozy, comforting booktuber to watch. I really like her vlogs and her wrap-ups and all the different books that she reads. So definitely go and check her out. And the first question in this tag is the best books that you've read so far this year. My favourite book by far this year has definitely been Trespasses by Louise Kennedy. I literally take any chance I have to rave about this book because I just enjoyed it so much. This is set in 1975 in Belfast, so in the thick of the Troubles in Northern Ireland, and we are following a young character who is a teacher, and we see her, she is Catholic as well, and we see her start an affair with a married Protestant man, and we see how this is kind of a relationship that is tragic and real but also doomed from the very start. And we're seeing this character called Kushla, and we're seeing everything she does, the backdrop of violence that is just in her everyday life, and we're kind of wondering how she will ever get out of it. And I just found this so emotional and evocative, and I thought the setting was fantastic, and I just thought how Louise Kennedy weaved in the violence around the romance and love and the tragicness of it all, and family life, family drama, addiction, trauma. It's all done so well in this book, and I just absolutely love it. And I just really want more people to be reading this, and for people to be raving about it by the end of the year, because I think it is just a spectacular book. If I could get people to read any book this year, it would probably be this one. The next question is the best sequel you've read this year. I've actually been really bad at reading sequels this year, and I've definitely drifted a little bit away from reading a lot of the fantasy sci-fi books that I used to, which would have been a lot of series and trilogies and stuff like that. And I've definitely been reading a lot more literary and contemporary, and some romance here and there. But I have been continuing my reread of the Expanse series. So my favourite sequel this year is the third book in the Expanse series, which is Abaddon's Gate by James S.A. Corey. This is a book series set in deep space, and for the most part we are following a crew of this one ship called the Rocinante, which they call the Rossi, which is what I named my dog after. So we have a dog called Rossi after the spaceship in this book, which is something that no one understands when they ask where she got her name. A lot of people just presume she's called Rocky, but no, she's called Rossi after the Rocinante. And this book in particular in the series is, I'm putting this on for this question because this is one of those sequels where it was on a reread that I felt like I got more out of the book than I did the first time I read it. Not only did I understand what was going on a little bit more, but I was able to appreciate a lot of what was going on, as well as I appreciated the characters and the character actions and some of the slower pace of this book. This book definitely feels like not much of a filler book, but it's definitely a book that is filler as a step up to what is coming next. It's kind of at the end of this book something big happens, which is a real next step to the next phase in the series. So for a lot of this book, it felt like not much was happening, as a lot of the people, a lot of the characters and the ships in this book are literally stuck in this one part in space. They can't move, they're stuck. And yeah, so you're not really doing much in the sense of moving and action and stuff like that until the very end. But I definitely really enjoyed this one, and yeah, I was definitely hooked onto it. And I literally just finished the fourth book, so I've been definitely enjoying my reread of the series, and I just really need to hurry up with it so I can read the last book, which came out at the end of last year, and I obviously still haven't gotten to it. So yeah, new release that I haven't read yet but I want to is definitely Seven Steeples by Sarah Baum. Again, I've said it before, absolutely just love this little edition of this book. I just think it is so cute and so pretty, and I just love having it on my shelves. But this is a book that came out at the start of this year, and it is about a couple who basically say goodbye to kind of modern living and urban living, and they go off to the countryside to kind of just escape to the country, kind of live a lot more of a simpler kind of off the grid lifestyle, and everything about that appeals to me. And they bring their dogs with them, and yeah, it feels like it should be a very cozy, nice read. So yeah, I definitely really need to read this soon because I just feel like I'm going to love it. My most anticipated release for the second half of the year, that was definitely The Amusements that came out at the start of this month, I do believe, and I did have it pre-ordered. It feels like a really good summer read because it is set in a seaside town in Waterford, where there's the amusements, the amusement parks, which is a kind of real, like everything about that just feels really, really summery to me. And one of the reasons I really wanted to pick this book up is because the author Angela Flannery was actually one of my lecturers in college, and she was also my thesis supervisor. I'm really excited to read this because I just feel like it's going to be really good. Question 5 is my biggest disappointment. One of my biggest disappointments was Independence Memories, which is a book I read during the Irish Readathon. I kind of talked about it in my vlog during the Irish Readathon as well as my wrap up. And this was a non-fiction book that was kind of a compilation of people talking about their experiences during the Irish War of Independence, and people were kind of talking about stories that have been passed down from, say, like parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, and we were talking to kind of like the author, who was a journalist, it was talking to like kind of a lot of the older population who had very like strong memories of this time, and again had kind of memories passed down from family members. And this book just ended up being very, very scattered. I don't think it was just compiled very well. I think the author maybe struggled a lot with some of the fact that I think a lot of that it had to happen during COVID, like a lot of the interviews and stuff. So I feel like maybe something happened with the book that it ended up losing something because of it. But yeah, it just wasn't really what I wanted it to be. Question number 6 is my biggest surprise. I've ended up going with Breasts and Eggs by Mieko Kawakami, and this is a book I read at the very start of the year, and it was a book I read for the Found in Translation book club, so that was the first pick for the year. And this kind of started off my kind of focus on trying to read as much translated fiction as I could, not just this year but in future. And it also kind of cemented for me that I do really, really love translated Japanese fiction. I just think it's fascinating. I love reading books set in Japan and characters who, you know, just the everyday life of living in Japan, which is so different to the type of life that I am living. I just really love having that door opened through books and through translated books by Japanese authors, and seeing that like really authentic experience. And I think Japanese authors in particular have this really amazing, really like individual stylistic voice that I feel like you don't get with a lot of other cultures, a lot of authors from different countries. Japan definitely has a very unique voice when it comes to fiction, and yeah, I just really enjoyed seeing all of that in Breast and Eggs. And I don't know, like I don't think I expected to like hate it, but I don't think I expected to like it as much as I did, and then to really spark something inside of me of I need to read as much translated fiction as I can. My favourite new to me author, I'm gonna go for Snowflake by Louise Nealon. I've only read one of her books, which is Snowflake, which is her debut. I originally listened to this in audiobook, but then ended up loving it so much I recently bought my own copy of it, because I feel like I will reread it in the future, and I also recommend it a lot, so I kind of needed my own copy to even show on camera on like YouTube and TikTok and stuff like that. So yeah, I just feel like I will definitely be like auto buying or auto picking up anything else that she writes, because I just thought the way she wrote, like in this, I just really loved the way she brought these characters to life. We are following a character called Debbie, who is just starting college. She is from a rural kind of countryside family, a family of farmers. We see her immediately just struggle with like going to college, trying to make friends, and then she kind of falls into a spiral of kind of drinking a little bit too much and not really taking care of herself. And then she's obviously going home every day and seeing her mother, who seems to have kind of a lot of like mental health issues going on. And then she also lives with her uncle Billy, who is just like one of the best characters ever. I still love him so much. He's like an answer for another question about my favorite character. Just everything about Billy is like warm, and you know, like just this quintessential like Irish farmer type of like guy. Like I don't really know how to explain it, but he's just so Irish in a way that I just absolutely loved in this book. And we see him like in the middle of this book, we realise that he's been suffering from something for a very long time, and feeling guilty about something. And when that all comes out, it's just so emotional. And I just really love how dysfunctional everyone in this book is, but how they do actually all come together for everyone at the end as well. And I just loved it so much. So definitely will be reading more by Louise Nealon. Question number 8 is my newest fictional crush. If I was going to go for like proper crushes, I think I definitely really fancied Adam in The Love Hypothesis. The things around Adam in The Love Hypothesis, that there were a lot of things that he did that I just found, yeah, really sexy. And other than the whole like putting an entire boob in his mouth, not physically possible in my world, let me tell you. Yeah, other than that, which was kind of an ick, yeah, a lot of other things, just him being like his general self, like in an everyday way definitely made me fancy him. And then another character that I definitely had a crush on was Wentworth in Persuasion by Jane Austen. I reread this recently and this rocketed up to like one of my favourite Jane Austen books, and I got a whole new appreciation for Anne Elliot, but also a whole new appreciation for Captain Wentworth. And 100% the letter he writes in this book is probably one of the most romantic like things I've ever like read. Like, oh my god, it's just absolutely like, it had my heart just like melting inside of my chest when I was reading it. Question number 9 is my new favourite character. As I said, Uncle Billy in Snowflake was definitely one of my favourite characters. I just loved him so much. And then for a female character, Miss Benson in Miss Benson's Beetle, I absolutely loved her as well. She is just an absolute hoot. Like, I 100% saw her as the older midwife in Call the Midwife the whole time, even though possibly she may have been a little like technically younger than that in the book. But yeah, that was just a really good, funny, laugh out loud female friendship story. A book that made me cry, I don't think any book made me like actual sob. This one definitely brought me close to a breakdown though, and that was Boys Don't Cry by Fiona Scarlett. This was the group read for the Irish Readathon, and we all had a really good time reading it. But I actually didn't know when we originally chose this for the group read that this is actually about, one of the storylines in this is about a little boy who is diagnosed with cancer. I was definitely a little bit of a mess when I was reading this. Question number 11 is a book that made me happy. Loads of books made me happy this year. I feel like in general I've had a really good reading year, but one book that just made me happy just for the simplicity of it was definitely Leonard and Hungry Paul by Ronan Hessian. I've talked about this before. This is about two characters, Leonard and Hungry Paul. They are friends. They both live very simple lives. They are just ordinary men with ordinary dreams. They don't aspire to be anything big. They just like to be themselves, wake up, do their jobs, do the things they like every day, and do it all again tomorrow. And this is just a book about being okay, being just yourself, and that you don't need to like want to become like a president of the country, or you don't have to be like an astronaut or a politician or anything big and bold and beautiful. You can be beautiful just the way you are without it being big and bold and loud. You can just be quiet and yourself and still make a little difference in just being yourself, and people can still love you and appreciate you in those little ways that you are just yourself. And I just love this so much. It's just such a lovely simple book about being a simple soul, and I feel like I really needed it, because I'm not someone who is, I don't know, I don't aspire to be like, I don't have these big aspirations in life, to be honest. When people ask me like 5-year plans and things, I hate those. Like, I feel really, I don't know whether they make me feel small or something, but I don't have big like career goals. I don't have big massive life goals. I'm not like, I want to live in a big house and I want this amount of money or this, that or the other, or I want to have this type of job or this role. I kind of want to do my job so I earn money, so I'm comfortable and I don't have to worry about money. And then I want to eventually be able to live in a cottage in Donegal with my dogs and read my books, and that's all I kind of want to do. Like, I don't have these big goals. I have these very small goals, and this book made me feel better about keeping things small and keeping things simple, and that I'm not wrong and I'm not weird just for thinking those things. I really love this and just made me very happy. Number 12 is the most beautiful book I've received or bought so far this year. I can't remember if I actually got this book this year from Book Break, but I think I did, because it only came out in April. But this proof copy of Sea of Tranquility is absolutely beautiful. Like, this isn't the finished copy, it's just the proof copy, but I'm just like mad for a little bit of like hollow action, you know. I really love it. And I'm not sure if you can see it on camera, but you can actually see down here there is like a design of trees, which is really lovely. So I do really love that. And a book I actually bought only recently is this book, which is A Natural Year by Michael Fewer. And this is actually a kind of diary from a man. I don't know whether he's a naturalist or just he's a travel writer, and it's literally just about him, a year of his diary entries, just like looking at nature outside of his different homes, and just talking about what he sees and like what the sky is like, what the nature is, what, like, you know, what he's seeing. And it just seemed like, it just really struck out to me. First of all, like this cover is absolutely gorgeous, and then just the way it's all, like, you can see like it's split out into months, and there's some really gorgeous illustrations. It has this lovely French flap, which I absolutely love. And then there's also like this little like diagrams and stuff in it when he's showing about where he's talking about. And also there are pictures in it as well. So yeah, so he's pictures of like the nature that he saw, and the pictures that he took as well, and like what he's talking about in the diary entries. So I'm really looking forward to reading this at some point. I'd never seen this before. I've never seen anyone talk about it. I just saw it in the bookshop and I flicked through it and I was like, I just need this book. Like, this is a book that just feels like I need to read it. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Question number 13 is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? And my answer is, as always, all of them. I'm definitely really behind in a lot of like my books that have been gifted to me by publishers and stuff. I just haven't been particularly good at keeping up with them, and I'm ashamed of myself. There's also been books that like I've bought myself that I've been really excited to read, and then I never have. Like I said, I was doing my reread of the Expanse series, and I started that like last year to try and read it, and then I only ever got through one of them. So I will hopefully like get to the 9th one this year at some point. I'm really hoping I do. I bet it won't be until next year though now. And then I also did pick up books I wanted to read from the Women's Prize long list, which was The Bread the Devil Need and Great Circle, and I didn't get to either of them, which I'm really annoyed about. Neither of them won, which is, you know, neither here or there, but yeah, and there's a lot of like, you know, A Natural Year I need to read, and yeah, there's just a lot of them that I need to read. So many books I have on like Kindle Unlimited and my library. I keep going back to I keep going to the library too, and I love the library, and the library is great for like a lot of books that I want to read, but it's also not good in terms of me going to the library and reading library books instead of reading some of the proof copies that I also have. So like it's like I'm like in a battle with myself over like what I should prioritize. So yeah, I need to get a bit better, but you know, I'm rolling. I'm reading good books, so that's, can't really complain either. My only complaint is I don't have enough time, and I would like to quit my job and just read books all day, and then I'll be happy, and I don't know why I can't do that. So that is all my best and worst and all my other opinions about all the books I've read so far this year. Please let me know what you guys think. Have you guys read any of these books? What's your favourite book of the year so far? I would love to know. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys again next time. Bye.